Jackie Campbell. Right, 75 years ago, the Church of England published the report of its Commission on Doctrine, setting out what church members should believe. The Commission had no problem at all over the idea of evolution. It said, no objection to the theory of evolution could be drawn from the two creation narratives of Genesis 1 and 2, since it is generally agreed among educated Christians that these are mythological in origin and that their value for us is symbolic rather than historical. Yet, 75 years later, many evangelical Anglicans, as well as members of other religions, cannot accept the idea that man evolved from other animals, something there is no serious scientific debate about. And some even dispute that our planet is older than the biblical count of 6,000 years. So this morning, we're asking just one very big question. Is it time all religions accepted evolution as fact? To debate this, we've got distinguished scientists, preachers, sociologists, writers and broadcasters from both sides. And they'll be encouraged by our very lively Peckham audience. That's it. You can join in too via Twitter. You can log on to bbc.co.uk/thebigquestions. You'll find links to continue the discussion online. Well, it's not just evangelical Christians who reject human evolution as a theory. Most Muslims do as well. Last Saturday there was a conference in London to discuss have Muslims misunderstood evolution. Such was the opposition from Muslim student groups to this idea that the conference organisers were forced to change the venue. The Pope, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, the new Archbishop, Justin Welby, the Chief Rabbi, all accept life on this planet, including mankind, evolved. Is it time for all religions to accept evolution as fact? Matt Ridley, you wrote this book, The Genome. Is this a debate in science at all?
No, it's not. It's quite clear now to scientists, because the evidence has got stronger and stronger as the years gone by. We've now got the genetic evidence, as well as the evidence from fossils and other things. We've sequenced the genome of Neanderthal man. And we can clearly see how it's related to us and related to the chimpanzee and so on. And we can see that we crossbred with it about 40,000 years ago. We can read in the genes exactly the whole history of life. And we're gradually understanding all of that. And it absolutely confirms that there is descent with modification, there's natural selection, all these kind of things that Darwin said. There's plenty of room for disagreement about the details. It's not, one dogmatic theory. There's a whole bunch of theories that say
scientists are pretty argumentative people, aren't they?
And certainly should be. The first thing they should do when they see a consensus is try and shoot it down. But there is no question that all creatures on this planet are related. We can see that in the genes. They all share the same genetic code. It looks like a frozen accident, i.e. there's no rhyme or reason why we have a particular genetic code we do. But bacteria have it, we do it, plants have it, and it's all connected. And that, if 50 years ago you could just about say, well, we still don't know what makes living matter different from non-living matter. There might be something very special and incomprehensible at the heart of it. That's gone. We now know that it's an information technology like any other, and it's been evolving by sequential changes in DNA sequencing.
So, Greg Hazard, we believe the Earth is less than 10,000 years old before we sample. We've got all this evidence of not just geology, but comparative anatomy, geographic distribution, why some animals are there and related to animals there, other parts of the world, some animals are there and related to animals there. The fossil record, paleontology, you name it, all these disciplines, and now the genome, and yet still you reject evolution. Why?
Well, because information doesn't arise from dead matter. Information requires a designer, and the complexity of a single human cell contains as many letters as 500 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Is that all the letters and spaces are in the right sequence in those volumes, and they are in the human cell. Encyclopedia Britannica was printed. The human cell, every evidence of absolutely exquisite design. And as for common features of DNA, one would expect that. The designer would have created information that would be not only for the design of different sections of human beings, but also all of the animals. The fact is that it's very difficult to explain how even the first living cell came into being.
Well, that's not what evolution is about. It's about the process. It's not about the origins. Robert, ask just very quickly. Robert is a paleontologist and a Christian. Reaction to what you've heard from Greg?
I suspect, Greg, that perhaps you are under the understanding that an evolutionary account of biodiversity is all about random chance. And that's not quite accurate. I mean, we haven't given you quite enough time to articulate your full view, Greg. But that's the first thing I would say. It's not, the theory of Darwin's theory of descent with modification is not about pure entropy, right? And second of all, this idea that on top of explaining all of biodiversity, an evolutionary biologist has to explain the origin of life itself. That's also quite mistaken. Which is not to say that there isn't, a compelling theory, scientific theory, that uses understanding of natural mechanisms to explain the origin of life. I suspect that's true. Anyway, so those would be the first two things I would say. It's not about the origin of life, and to say that life evolved is not to say that it evolved by nature.
Yeah. So
But that's like saying, it's like saying that a game of poker is not a game of chance. It's because if you play
But
poker,
it is in an important way in the sense that there is a random element, clearly, in the sense that a mutation, for example, among many other kinds of novelty that can occur on a genetic or developmental or phenotypic.
but that's my
level.
point. Those things are
Just let me finish.
random. Okay.
Well, yeah, so there is a random element, but they're highly constrained. So I mean, if you roll 1,000,000 dice and expect to get all sixes, that's the refrain. You haven't said it yet, but I suspect it's coming soon. If you roll 1,000,000 dice and get all sixes, that's pure entropy, and that's kind of the caricature of the evolutionary explanation that I hear from young Earth creationists and intelligent design advocates. That's not at all.
But evolution can only work with the chance things that it's given through mutations and other processes.
But that's the raw
and to
material.
me, if I'm going to finish, to me the way the evidence is going, it's very much the opposite of what Matt was saying before. The more we've discovered, the more problematic it is to accept evolution. It becomes more and more unbelievable. And don't just take my word for it. Someone like Thomas Nagel, who's an atheist philosopher, has recently written that the more we've discovered about the incredible complexity of life, the more unbelievable the naturalistic explanation becomes.
Yes, we should always listen to philosophers over scientists, needless to say. I mean, your poker analogy is actually rather a good one, because if you're playing poker, you're getting a random hand. Now, one day you're going to get 4 aces, and that random hand is going to win. It's going to be naturally selected. It's going to win that game, and you're going to get money back. So it's a machine. So what you're mixing up is the raw material, which is random noise, from the filtering mechanism, which is natural selection. They are not the same thing. And the essential difference, I think, between your point of view and the point of view of the scientists is that we are willing to change our minds. And we have changed our minds again and again and again. If somebody were to prove that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and really prove it, I would cheer. I would stand on my seat and I'd say to the person involved, start learning Swedish. You will get the Nobel Prize. But I fear that nothing science says will make you change your mind.
This idea that the world is Steve, if I may, is less than 10,000 years old, that's demonstrably not true with every respect. It's just all the evidence from radiometric dating says it's not true.
That is that it's actually a really exciting research framework to work in. To work in a young Earth framework, you can do research that no one else is doing. You can answer questions that no one else is asking. You can do new work, and that is exactly what is being done by a whole load of young Earth creationists that are fully qualified in their fields, people in paleontology, people in different areas of geology. They are doing research and it's being published in secular journals. I mean, I've got an example here. There's papers in sedimentary geology, sand injectites, work in the Grand Canyon. They are doing work from this young Earth framework, and it's being published in secular journals.
So what is it in that paper that says that the Earth is 6,000 years old?
Well, the funny thing about this work is that I won't go into the details.
We can't deny that there are individuals who are pursuing research at this level, and you're holding up an example of one.
But
and I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. I think that could be quite compelling. But the fact remains, you have quite a challenge in front of you to demonstrate to the community of scientists who come from a variety of philosophies and perspectives that the Earth is orders of magnitude younger than almost every member of every major geology department in every university on this planet you know, is willing to say. I mean, I think to point out that these individuals are doing research is fine, and it's good to think out of the box. I give you guys lots of credit for taking an unpopular stand in a format like this.
But in
on the other hand,
dating, which is what relied upon extensively for millions and billions of years of dating rocks, the fact is,
radiometric dating is one small component in a large tapestry of evidence that
of
leads
course,
us
that there is
to
the
infer
rates,
that the Earth
I
is
guess,
alive.
for the formation of stalactites, and there are rates for the sedimentary rocks on the Earth. But I've been 200 miles down the Grand Canyon, and it's very clear from the evidence that's been pointed out to me that those rocks were laid down very rapidly. Because at several points you can see layers of rocks that do a complete U-turn and then continue. Those rocks must have been
You obviously
soft.
were looking at the stromatolites, which is an algal bloom that can, you know, that is preserved at very, very high points in the geological section of the Grand Canyon.
But you can't cover the point I'm
positive
making. There
in
are
a
totally
catastrophic flood that took place
discrepant
during 40
results
days.
for radiometric dating. So if you can't, which one are you going to choose? The one you want? Or is
That's
the
a question
method
that you guys have to ask
totally
for
flawed?
yourselves, I think.
Why do they have to ask? Why do they have to ask it themselves? That question.
Well, I get the sense, you know, so the idea is that the entirety of the geological community has fooled ourselves into thinking that the Earth is not. It's millions of years old. And our colleagues are saying that this is somehow a bias on our part, that we're selecting.
You can't tell the
picking
time
data. And
unless
that's
you know
you
what
guys are
time
doing.
the clock was set at the beginning.
Steve Jones, what would it mean if just say they're right, apart from the fact learned Swedish win a Nobel Prize? What, or is it Norwegian? It's Swedish. Is it Swedish? Okay, thank you. What would it mean for like the nuclear industry, for optics, for everything else?
It would mean a lot, but let's bear in mind that this
It wouldn't
has
mean
happened.
anything.
Can I
You
just
still
finish?
mess with
Can I
the
just
nuclear
finish, please?
material.
Can I finish?
But using it as
Can
a
you-
dating
can I just finish,
technique
please?
is not
Thank you.
accurate.
This has happened before. Let's remember, that's the beauty of science. We are willing to say we're wrong. And just over 100 years ago, an almost exact analogy happened in physics. In 1904, the President of the Royal Society said to the physics community, give up physics, you've done it all, we understand it, we know how it works, do something more interesting. 1905 came relativity, and the whole of physics collapsed. Everybody moaned and groaned for 5 years, and we thought, all right, we were wrong, we have to start again. You guys will never do that.
Seems to me it's saying that
Do you-
young scientists can do good work.
I'm-
We're always being told
I'm
we're
interested, do you
complete
think
nutters, and yet you're admitting that
Do you
young
think-
scientists can do good work.
Do you think this is gross incompetence by 99% of the world's scientists that has led us to this position, that they've got it so
I think science is-
catastrophically wrong?
It's a specialist discipline, isn't it? You spend years earning a PhD in a certain aspect of science, but it doesn't mean you're competent in other areas. And that means that you're not open to all of the evidence in the way that you like to believe.
I think it's important that we don't argue from authority here. I mean, if I wanted to use the argument for authority, I'd join the church, because that's what it's based on. Evidence is what drives this. It's not that some senior professor says this. We look at the continental drift. How do you even explain that without hundreds of millions of years? We've got all sorts of evidence for, you know, an asteroid hitting the Earth 65 million years ago. We've got the dinosaurs. We've got the Cambrian explosion. We've got Precambrian life. All these kind of things were happening over hundreds of million years. It's the most marvellous story. It's really fascinating. It's got a lot
Let me move on to Abdullah. Good to see you. Yeah, I think you accept the old Earth, don't you? And you accept animal evolution. You just have a problem with humans evolving. But given, I suppose this is the kind of area of questioning for you, given that there's a very high, however you measure it, by some measurements, 98% genomic similarity between humans and chimps. Why is that?
First of all, as a Muslim, a theologian in Islamic tradition, I can't really comment on the evolution aspect. I can only comment on the theology of what Islam says regarding the evolution of man.
Well, I'm just
In
interested
terms
to know
of-
why there would be that extraordinary similarity. Did God just make us out of the same stuff?
Even if we share the same some DNA, common DNA, it doesn't necessarily mean that we descended from animals. It just means that there were human-like beings before man or during man, or
Some old Earth creationists
Yeah,
call us
they're-
pre-Adamite humans.
probably
Yeah,
Yeah, but we didn't.
bipedal, 2 feet,
Yes.
walking around,
Islam-
big
Islam,
brains.
you see,
but not-
what the Quran is explicit about is about the creation of Adam. That he's a unique creation, and any life before that, the Quran is silent about.
How old was Adam when he was created?
As a Muslim, from the Quranic perspective, we don't believe that the earth is 6,000 years old. The Quran does not state anything about that, or the authentic tradition of the Prophet Muhammad.
How old was Adam when he was created? A baby, or a child, or a teenager, or a young Adam?
He was created in a human form.
How old?
How old? I don't know.
No, I don't know. And how was he done? What process was used?
The Quran states that God created Adam and put upon him out of mud and clay, and he fashioned him with his own hands in heaven, and then he excused Adam and put upon him from heaven to the earth.
Does that literal interpretation require us to believe that God has hands?
Not necessarily. I mean, we don't believe in the
figurative,
interpretation. Not necessarily. We believe that God has attributes, and his attributes are nothing like our attributes, but he has certain attributes.
Fashioned from
He
clay.
fashioned from clay and mud the way he befits his majesty.
Is that a scientific explanation for you?
It's a much more scientific explanation than ones we've just been hearing. In fact, in some ways, it's very close, as you know, to the thoughts of Charles Darwin's great colleague, who died 100 years ago this year, Alfred Russel Wallace. Now, Wallace was an evolutionist of the most conventional